Welcome to Snail Trail 4x4. If you like building Toyotas and going off-roading, then this is the channel for you. Hit that subscribe button down below. Today I'm out here with David, and he's got a sweet 3rd gen 4Runner. David, why don't you tell us about this 4Runner here?
So this is my 4Runner. It's 2002. I've had it for around like 2 years. The way it's built, as you see it right now, that's kind of how I bought it from the previous owner. The previous owner did like 95% of the work. It was unfortunate he got in like a hit and run in the parking lot. He was going to total it out, and I have come across it, and I picked it up from him, kind of restored it, which was kind of like new doors, fenders, mechanically it was all good.
Start at the front and kind of work our way back. We got the engine up front, obviously, because it's a 4Runner. Have you done anything underneath that hood?
No, so as far as the engine, I mean, it's all stock as far as displacement power like you get from the factory. The only thing I added in there was the Optima yellow battery. Okay. For all the electronics, last longer. Cool. But yeah, otherwise it's stock.
Right. And then you got a transmission in there. Is that a auto or a manual?
Yeah, so it's an auto 4-speed transmission with an overdrive. It does have the factory transfer case, so that's also all stock. All
right, cool. And probably stock drive shafts going back to the axles or out to the tires. So let's move up here to suspension. What are we running?
Yeah, so for the front, in the front I have King extended travel coilover. So right now they provide like 2.5 inches of lift. It also does have a 1-inch body lift, so it's around like 3.5 inches. Okay. It's a 2.5. Unlike the rear, that has reservoirs and adjusters. These don't have that. So that's pretty much it. The only other thing is it has the SPC upper control arms, and these are nice because you can actually move the wheel forward. You can adjust the caster on them. So
cool.
Because the big problem with 3rd gen 4Runners is once you put a larger tire on there, you only have so much clearance over here. So if you move the tire forward, essentially, you have to do less cutting and pounding over here.
Smart.
Because when you off-road and you put the wheel in here, the larger the tire, you're going to have problems rubbing.
You stuff it up and you're turning in.
Exactly.
You're just rubbing back there. And on a lot of my other trucks, you know, I take the tire off and I'm hammering a lot of that back and pushing it as far back as I can. So it's really good to move that forward.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's like a very common question, like you will see, is like, how big of a tire can I fit without rubbing? And you, like, anytime you go up a size, like, you almost have to like start trimming the fender, start pounding, you know, the liner in, and
the pinch weld, you got to bend it over and everything. Absolutely.
For suspension in the rear, when I have those Toytech Superflex springs, these provide around like 3 inches of lift. And then also for the shocks in the back, maybe, I don't know if it's hard to tell off camera, but normally the stock shocks, how they come from the factory, they kind of go inboard behind the frame rails. But this has extended travel. It's a 12-inch shock. And I believe factory, it's like an 8-inch. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Yeah. And they're externally mounted, so it's a 2.0 King shock with a reservoir and adjuster, so you can kind of adjust like how stiff or soft you want it. And also another, like, if anyone out there is doing this sort of thing, one thing to keep in mind is you also need to run a spacer. I'm running a 1.25-inch spider track spacer, because essentially, like, when the wheel tucks in, once you have that shock on the outside now, it's going to rub against it. So that's why I'm running spacers on all 4 sides, because it looks kind of weird. The rear tires spoke out and the front don't.
Yeah. Cool. So because you outboarded those shocks, you took from the inside of the frame to put them onto the outside.
Exactly.
You're getting a little bit more articulation because of that, but then you had to put the spacers on there because when you stuff that tire in, you would rub against the shock.
Exactly.
Right, and then you did put spacers on the front as well just to match it up.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about protection. What body armor do we have? What skid plates or anything around this vehicle are you running? So up here on the front, we obviously have a big beefy bumper. Where's this thing from?
So this is All Pro. It's a Tacoma bumper. So this is not something you'll see commonly on the 4Runner. It's also a question I get commonly is like, where do I get this bumper? So it's designed for a 1st gen Tacoma. So to make it fit onto a 3rd gen 4Runner, like, you have to cut the frame rails in order to make the pin fit. So that's also why you kind of see a nice clean flush look on it. And then so All Pro Tacoma bumper, and then right below here we have a 4X Innovations skid plate. and then also a guard for the radiator. We don't want to be cracking that on the trail.
No, definitely not.
On the side here, we have 4X Innovation sliders. They're pretty basic weld-on sliders. They have an option you can get them bolt-on or weld-on. These are welded on. I mean, pretty much that's all there is to it. They work great. Save my rocker panels.
Why did you choose to go weld-on over bolt-on?
I bought it. Came
that way.
So
yeah, I've always felt that weld-on is stronger and it adheres to the frame more, but a lot of people don't choose the weld-on because they don't know how to weld, and so they do the bolt-on version to put it on.
It's something they can do it in their own garage.
So with this being built by a guy that knows what he's doing and building these rigs, he chose to go that route.
Yeah, cool. This is a CPI hybrid rear bumper for 3rd Gen 4Runner. This one originally it's made as a bolt-on. However, I had it welded on, so it's just welded on directly to the frame. So there was a little bit of trimming needed to make that happen.
Okay.
But yeah, they come for this is direct bolt-on. It has great fitment. As far as my fitment, it's a little off. You could tell it's with this gap and push forward. I was rear-ended a few months ago, so I don't want to take away from the company and be like, oh, this is crap fitment, right? No, I got rear-ended, so that's why it's kind of off. As far as the bumper, it's great. It fits the. They also have if you don't have what do they call it, the flares, they have one that sits more flush with the body.
Oh, cool.
I have flares, so you can see how it
flares out.
Exactly.
Right.
So design-wise, it's really nice. It's very functional. It takes a beating, and when I did get rear-ended, I did get some body damage, but this thing took the majority of the hit, and it's still on here.
Right, and then it's a swing away as well.
Yeah, exactly. So right here, you just got this pin over here. Actually, want me to do it real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, it just swings away just like this. Other options people do is you could also get a table over here. So if you go camping, it just folds out, cook on there, do whatever you want.
Nice.
And then obviously you can put on the spare in the back, and then also over here, which I don't have, case, I don't know what you call it, for the actual jerry cans. So that's also another option that I have on here.
Okay.
It's nice. It looks really cool. One of the downsides is every time you got to get into your trunk, it's one other thing to open up the tailgate. So.
Right, but if you're running a massive spare like these guys here, you're not going to be able to fit that underneath. So you're going to either have it inside your cab taking up space, or you're going to need somewhere on the exterior to put it. So having a good swing away is a big benefit for these 4Runners.
Yeah. Some other things right here, you have a mount for a high lift jack, if you want to mount that. And it's also nice because it's just the more stuff you can mount inside of the vehicle, the more storage you have, for the inside of the vehicle.
Right.
And then lastly, this hitch has an incorporated hitch right here.
Okay.
So it's nice to have. I have a dirt bike carrier, so I can just slide that thing in there and carry the dirt bike around.
Right. You take off the tire when you do that?
Yeah, I have to take this off. I actually just put it on this morning.
Okay. So what tires are we running here?
All right, so on here, it's a 35-inch tire. It's a General Grabber AT2 tire. I personally like it a lot. It's a basic all-terrain. It's very similar to a KO2.
Yeah, they look actually really similar.
The only difference is it's a little bit of an aggressive sidewall, but I mean they last a super long time. They're super quiet on the road, and then anywhere I've taken them, like snow, sand, dirt, they perform good in all the different terrains.
Nice.
So
Sweet.
It's a nice versatile tire.
Okay.
Okay, so as far as the rim, it's bronze FN 5-spoke wheel. As far as the specs on it, it's a 17 by 8.5 with a 6mm offset. It's obviously different on this because I have the spacer on it. So as far as on a stock 4Runner, the stock specs of it, they fit perfectly.
Yeah.
But obviously I put the spacers on because like we talked about earlier, I have the outboard mounted shocks and on full top doing rub. So.
Also, you were telling me about your brakes. You upgraded the front brakes?
Oh, yeah. So, as far as the stock brakes, they work fine, but obviously with this setup, with all the armor, the 35-inch tires, you're adding a lot more weight onto the vehicle. And with the stock brakes, they felt a little squirrely, going down the freeway, coming up to stop. So these are Tundra brakes. They're, I want 213mm.
Sounds right.
And it's really cool because with these brakes, you can pick them up at a junkyard. I picked them up for $50 a pair. You have to buy just some new pads, and also the rotor. It's much more beefier, larger in diameter, and it just has much more confidence when stopping.
Yeah, and then the caliper, they just bolt right up. It just
Yeah,
matches
it's
everything.
a direct bolt on, no modification required, and
That's sweet. That's really cool. I want to actually do that on Bobcat here coming up, so it'll be fun. It'll be cool to see.
So as far as interior, it's pretty basic. I didn't try. The previous owner didn't go too crazy, and I really like the way he did it. He kept it very simple and classy. Starting from the top, this is something you won't normally see in the U.S. 4Runner. This is from JDM Helix monitor. So this is what you'll see in like the Japanese 4Runners, and basically, like it'll tell you like the outside temperature, the elevation, and then also it's like a compass, like north, south, east, west. So it's pretty cool. Adds a nice little touch to it. And then over here, we just have an aftermarket radio, and then have all the switches here for like the compressor, lockers, the lights. And then over here, we have a CB radio, and the way he did it is very nice. It's a very nice clean look. All the wires are hidden, and it just looks factory almost. And that pretty much wraps it up for the front. The only other thing I added is some WeatherTech formats. So in the rear, also what was built here was like a custom cargo box. It's really nice. They just kind of like hold the flashlight. Over here is where I have just essentials for the snow. So when I do get stuck, I have that. When the zombies attack, you gotta have this. I have all sorts of recovery strips, ratchet straps, just kind of miscellaneous stuff. Also in here, it's another compartment. So got the ARB hose, decompressor, and then just a spare like airline. So you don't want that busting on your lockers.
No, not at all.
So that wraps it up. It just kind of keeps everything tucked away, out of the way, and nice and clean.
All right, so what cool accessories we got on here? I see we have some lights, and it looks like a winch. What are we running?
Yeah. So as far as for the lights, it's pretty basic. Just a oak 20-inch light bar up front. Over here we have some pods. They're from Rigid Industries, and they're originally white. They just have like the yellow amber clips on them, and then these are just turn signals.
Right.
As far as winch, I have a Smeaterbilt. It's a 10K wireless winch, so it's super convenient. This year at the snow, it helped out a lot. Saved a lot of shoveling.
Yeah.
And then also the only added modifications to that, I have Factor 55 Fair Lead and then the Factor 55 Flat Lead.
Right. Are you running a synthetic or a cable line?
Synthetic. Yeah.
Okay. Trying to save some weight.
Yeah, exactly.
Very nice. Any other accessories? I mean, we got a rack up top.
Yeah. So that rack, it's a Rocky Mountain roof rack. This is actually one of the first ones, one of the prototypes. It's a company based out of Colorado, and they build racks for like 3rd gen 4Runners, 4th gen and 5th gen, I believe, 4Runners, and then 3rd gen Tacomas. It's a really cool company. You guys should definitely check them out. It's built in the U.S. Good quality, and yeah, it's one of their first prototypes. It's been on this vehicle for like 3-4 years, and I've had everything on there. Right now, I have a ski rack on it. I've had a rooftop tent on it, and it holds up to everything. And then it fits the design of the 4Runner really nicely. Very sleek and doesn't make a lot of wind noise on the freeway. So.
Sticker for speed.
Yeah,
5 more horsepower.
That's 5 horsepower, which I need with the 35s. That's the trick.
Yeah.
You just gotta go straight. There you go. And then a little bit to the driver's side.